I couldn't fall asleep. I was so angry. Like, people are lying about my country, about my people, after we just got slaughtered, the worst massacre in modern day history. Thank God I've reached over 60 million people on social media. People love to hear, like, so what's my purpose on earth? Tell me, give me the blueprints on what I'm supposed to do now. What you're saying is so stupid, and let me use humor to basically say what you're saying, put it in the garbage, explain how you're wrong, make fun of you, drive my point way home. It's your responsibility as a human being to figure out what your purpose is. I'm literally Hannah Montana, like that. I genuinely believe from the research that I've done, and I've done a lot of research, we actually are on the side of truth. The Stadlos is the idea of you put in the work and God's gonna take care of the rest.
All right, Yechiel Jacobs, welcome. We've been planning this for years. Finally made it.
This has been like 2 years in the work.
2 years in the work. A lot of, our managers speaking to each other. Very, very planned out.
So much coordination.
So much coordination went into this podcast. A lot. It's not that we just met 35 minutes ago.
Not at all.
And I met you just now.
And I almost kidnapped you.
Almost.
How did it happen? How did you end up here?
So I met your dear friend over here. Literally.
Whose name do you know?
Of course I know his name. I'm not gonna even fall in and say his name. Obviously I know his name. I met him 35 minutes ago. That's a lie. I met you probably an hour and a half ago.
I think so, yeah.
At a beautiful event for
I had no
Nova.
idea if he was gonna come here. No idea.
No, literally no idea. And I told him, I said, if I have time at the end of the night, I'd love to do it. I said, I'm so down for this podcast. Let's make it happen. And I literally met you an hour and a half ago, and we're here right now in the studio in New York. I'm here for 24 hours, not even.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Wow.
And we're here on this
flight?
podcast. My flight tomorrow is at
2 p.m.
2:25 p.m. It's pretty solid.
Okay.
It's fine. I don't remember your name. You don't know my flight. It's even.
It's Usher, by the way.
Usher, my man.
Okay, I got you.
Like the Usher, like the singer.
Some people call me Usher.
I see like a strong resemblance.
It used to be like my alarm in the morning. Do. Yeah, Usher.
So
Yeah.
we back in the club. That's you.
That's me, yeah. That's my like alter ego.
Yeah, I see. Especially
you
in the
saw
skin
that.
color.
That's why you spoke to me. That's why you came on.
That's what I'm like. You're Usher's like, no, but I have a podcast. We want to jump on. And now we met, and here I am.
And here we are. So I want to know,
And we
first
were in
of all,
Escalade, which is
is it
pretty
all
cool.
a character? Is anything we see online the real Yechiel Jacobs, or is that a totally different guy?
No, that's a great question. You're coming in hot. I love this.
You said you want to get deep.
No, I love getting deep. So is it a character? You see the real me, but I use a character to bring out how I'm feeling. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Kind of.
You know what I mean? Like
You're
real
playing into you.
Yeah, I'm playing into me. I'm using a character. It all started off Sebastian Maniscalco. How you doing, Sebastian at the Pesach Seder? You know that guy?
Like a filter, amazing.
Amazing. So that Sebastian, basically, long story short, let me jump in on how it all started, okay? October 7th happens. I'm doing nothing on social media. I have nothing going on. I don't have a following. I'm not doing shows. I'm not doing anything.
How many followers?
I had about 800 followers on social media, on Instagram specifically. I didn't even have TikTok or anything else. The only social media I had was Instagram. I had 800 followers. And then October 7th happens, a month passes, and I'm at this point where I'm feeling like something has to happen. Like, this is insane. I'm seeing these videos of these crazy people in short purple hair saying the craziest things. I'm like, I'm losing it. I'm like, someone needs to respond in a way that I feel satisfied. Like, okay, this person said what I'm thinking. And I wasn't seeing any of it, none.
Really?
So I'm like, you know what? Let me do it. Let me do a video responding to these crazy people and see where it goes. So the first video I do, it was this lady or this woman, whatever you want to call her. She says, if you have Amy Schumer and Ben Shapiro on your side, you're probably on the wrong side. And then I responded, my first ever video, I take their Sebastian voice. I'm like, if you have Hamas, ISIS, and the Taliban on your side, you're probably on the wrong side. And that's my video. Short, 30-second video.
That's it.
It explodes.
That's
it
like
explodes.
so tame compared to what you're doing now.
Well,
what you're reacting to
it
now.
escalated. I grew into the character. It brought out my real side. And that video within 3 days got 500,000 views.
Wow.
The first one?
My first video hits 500,000 views. And the second video I do hits 1 million views. And then long story short, we're here about a year and 3/4 later. And thank God I've reached over 60 million people on social media. And I've built 250,000 followers, and I've gotten the truth about Israel to so many people who would not have seen it, but appreciate humor, that were able to appreciate my humor and actually learn more about Israel and the Jewish people. And I've been able to really, really grow, which has been crazy, crazy for me.
Before everything current, can we go back to who the heck are you? And
I
just,
don't know.
Where did you come from? Where were you before any of this?
So I was born in Israel.
Okay, that's big.
I was
It's a
born in
cool
Israel.
stat.
I lived in Beit Shemesh and Beitar. I lived there until I was 4.5 years old, so I don't remember any of it. And then after that, I moved to Far Rockaway with my family. I was 4.5 years old, so they moved and they just brought me with them.
You didn't
And
really have a choice there.
I didn't really. I wasn't like, wah! They didn't agree with like what I was yelling. And I got to Far Rockaway. I lived there for a bit. And long story short, I grew up in New York. And as a religious Orthodox Jew, I went to elementary school called Yeshiva Katana. You've heard of it?
No.
Yeshiva Katana. No?
No.
Really?
I'm aware that Yeshiva
Wow.
Katanas
Yeshiva
exist.
Katana of what?
Wow, all the Yeshiva Katana guys are gonna be looking at this like, one of us are on TV.
We're not Five Towns people. I know
Yeshiva
it's Five
Katana
Towns since you
of
told
Long
me.
Island. That's where I went to for elementary school. And then I went for high school to May, Mesefta Teres Yaakov. You heard of that?
Very from.
You haven't heard of it.
No, I have. I
You
have. I've like 2 friends from there.
Yeah.
They're brothers.
You just distance yourself from them.
I mean, one of them works in pest control. One of them has a really cool voice, though.
That's cool. Pest control and a good voice. That's really what embodies Mesefta Teres Yaakov. That's like what we're about. But and then I did high school in Mesefta Teres Yaakov. But I grew up modern Orthodox, and thank God I really had a great upbringing. And then I went to OJ for a year in Israel.
Okay.
I went during COVID, so it was like I had like 7 months, and then it switched up. And I was always like being the funny guy.
You stage trying to bet?
No, because I wanted to get involved in real estate, and then I ended up going back and I ended up buying my first house at 19. I had like a whole goal set up for business. And then, so basically I was very Jewish. I went to yeshiva, I got involved in real estate, and everything was going great.
Was there any comedy in the plan at all? Or it was
The
just real estate?
only like connection I had to this was like in my elementary school days, I was convinced, like with a passion, I was gonna be on Disney Channel.
Really?
Yeah.
You so
Close enough.
can't be.
Yeah, no. I was like, no, but like genuinely, like I was like, I'm like, it's happening. I'm so excited for when it does. I was working on my the whole with the wand.
I'm building this.
Only on Disney Channel. I was working on that, but I was genuinely convinced as a child, like I'm gonna be on that, and I can't
Was it
wait.
a
I'm so
specific
excited.
show?
It wasn't a specific show, but I was watching like Sweet Life on deck. Sweet Life
Yeah,
with
I
Zach
was
and
thinking
Cody,
Zach and
Wizards
Cody
of
would be
Waverly
your
Place. Hannah Montana. I was
Like, that's me.
yeah. I'm literally Hannah Montana, like that. Like
I feel like
hair.
you could fit into Jesse. You could be a character.
I
in Jesse.
could.
Yeah.
Hey Jesse, how you doing? Like I could have done it.
Is it on the table still? Cameo
You
or
never
not?
know. You never know. Listen, God has a plan. If anything I learned from this journey is God has a plan. You got to do your work, your hishtadlus, and then from there, like things really, really happen. That's if anything. The number one message I learned from this is if you feel like something's right, go for it 100%. And I see with you guys doing this podcast, like you guys are very passionate about what you do, and I could feel it, and I love it. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank
Like
you.
this is
You
gonna
know
take
us
you
so
somewhere.
well.
Yeah, for the hour and 27 minutes and 2 seconds that I've known you,
You can
I
tell,
can
though.
feel it. I
Yeah,
can really feel
you
it.
can see.
But no, but it's true. If you feel something like that, that's what I learned from my experience from this is like I've had a crazy journey in the past year and a half, like crazy. I went from nothing on social media to like, thank God I've traveled the world. I've been to Australia, I've been to Mexico, I've been to the Dominican Republic, I've been all over doing comedy
All the
shows.
destinations.
Literally doing like I'm talking about sold out shows from 800 followers on Instagram to like to reaching hundreds of million, not 100 million, but like 60, 70 million people on social media. It's crazy.
Who's going
Crazy.
to your show in the Dominican Republic?
So we planned it
program?
out. It wasn't a
okay,
Pesach
wow.
program. It was Yeshiva break.
Ah.
Yeah, so we planned it out.
I didn't know there was a destination.
How are you handling the fame right now? Is it getting to your head?
I don't think so. But again, I could tell you I don't think so, and then my friends would be like, such a schmuck. You know what I mean?
A liar.
Yeah, but I don't think so. I genuinely feel that I feel aware of my situation. I feel like I know the opportunity I was given. I know like I feel very, very lucky, and I appreciate. I feel a sense of appreciation, which keeps you like level-headed and grounded. And I also feel like this is just the beginning. So there's no part of me that feels like, oh no, I'm too cool for this, or I'm too like. I just feel excited, and I'm so like honored to be on this podcast right now. This is the coolest thing.
I'm honored to have you
It's
here.
crazy. It's so cool that I'm with you guys right now in the most random time. I'm here for 24 hours, and I found myself in a podcast with two guys I haven't known for more than a day.
I have a question. We just came from the Nova inaugural benefit dinner, whatever they want to call it. It's been a while since October 7th. So you've been making content for a while. And I feel like October 7th is a little bit more in the past. And the whole Israel activism, like that wave is a little bit like on the edge. So like what kind of content is gonna come next? Is it like anti-Semitism content? Like what are you creating now?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It brings out, this whole thing brought out a side of me that I didn't realize I had. I mean, I kind of, again, with the whole Disney Channel and being the funny guy in school, I knew I had like this funny side to me, but I didn't realize the extent that I could take it to. So this brought out this using my humor to combat anti-Semitism, using my humor to bring out the truth of what's really going on in Israel. So it brought that side of me out, but I also realized like I could be funny and also not be like this pro-Israel Zionist guy. Again, I love doing this stuff and I'm gonna continue doing whatever I need to do to stand up for what's right. But I also realized I started doing comedy bits I started this thing where I do driving instructor. I do a driving instructor, like POV, your driver instructor is Israeli. Like point of view, your driver instructor is Israeli. Or point of view, your driver instructor is Donald Trump. Or point of view, your driver instructor is Borat.
So good.
And I started doing all these clips. And the most viral video I have out of all the videos I've done, and I've done a bunch of videos, has nothing to do with Israel, has nothing to do with the Jewish people. It's a video of King Julian from Madagascar.
I love King Julian.
being a driver instructor. And that has 5.7 million views on,
As it should. That's
on
awesome.
Instagram. And it brought out a side to me that I didn't, like, I knew I had it, but I didn't know to the extent that I could bring it. And that's like, that's what's to come. What's to come is that like, I see a tremendous opportunity from this and I want to bring it as far as I can. I want to continue working on my impersonations, my humor, seeing where it goes. I want to get into acting and there's endless amounts. This comes back to what I was saying before of hishtadlus. You put in the work and these opportunities come that you would never imagine would happen. And they do.
Do you see anyone, yeah, go for it.
No, you could go.
Do you see anyone specifically, is it maybe Matt Rife or Theo Von, someone who you think you're modeling your career after right now?
So ironically, I'm not so into comedians. Ironic. It's not like I have like, my goal is to be like this person. It started off with Sebastian Maniscalco, the impersonation. I like to do impersonation. So I impersonated Sebastian in the very beginning of doing like, what are you doing? Like his character was so perfect for dealing with these crazy anti-Israel, anti-Semitic people because it's such blatant stupidity. Like Israel's doing a genocide, Israel's a colonial state. Like I'm like, nah, they're not. Like Israel, the Jewish people, it's like their ancestral homeland. Like it's literally like our land where we're coming back to. It's like the number one excuse of decolonization. It's like, it's something that it's so obvious. And I think, I'm gonna go off a little bit, but like, I think the beauty of this is that when you're dealing with stupidity, like I'm talking about genuine stupidity, really silly, stupid things, if you combat it by being serious and being like, no, what you're saying is false because X, Y, and Z, you're almost justifying and giving a platform to the stupidity. Like someone says something so false, if you go like, well, as a serious person, I think what you're saying is not true because X, Y, and Z, you're basically giving them a platform and now you're debating them versus using humor and you're saying, what you're saying is so stupid and let me use humor to basically say what you're saying, put it in the garbage, explain how you're wrong, make fun of you, drive my point way home. Like that's the beauty of humor. And I was able to use that to like combat the stupidity that was on such a high level. I think that's what really helped me grow in the very beginning because people were so fed up with the stupidity that they were saying. And to have someone say something that they were thinking, and instead of the whole like explanation of like, in this documentary, we learn about here X, Y, and Z. This is why. Like no one's interested in that. People want to know, like the people that are trashing our people, let's make fun of them. Let's literally trash them and like, don't even give them a platform. Let's make fun of the stupidity that they're preaching and then bring it home with humor and facts. So that was like the mix that I had.
Before any of this, were you very passionate about Zionism, about Judaism? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I was always very, very passionate. Again, so I was speaking to Usher before, and we were talking about. See, I remember your name.
Yeah.
But we were talking. He was asking me about if I felt like a certain. What were we talking? We were talking about where I grew up. Like I told him how I grew up in like I was in like more religious yeshivas, but I felt not out of place, but I felt different. I felt different in a way. I grew up in a more like yeshivish world, and I felt my family's more modern. I come from more of a modern background, and I felt like not disconnected, but just different and healthily different. And with Zionism and all this stuff, the yeshivas I went to, they weren't necessarily very Zionistic, but they were, they were Jewish.
Weren't at the Israeli Day Parade?
They were not at the Israeli Day Parade. Absolutely not. I had actually a situation happen.
Sunday school?
No, it was more like I even had a situation happen on it was Yom Ha'atzmaut, and I came to yeshiva with like an Israeli flag.
Oh man!
And I was just very proud. At this point, my sister was in the army. She went from she was in Hank. She was the only girl in her entire grade to just instead of going to SEM, she decided she's going to the IDF, and she went. And I was so proud of her, and I was so passionate about it. And like Yom Ha'atzmaut came around, and my sister's in the army. I brought an Israeli flag, and like I had a rabbi that was there, and he was like. I was just hyping up Israel. I was so passionate. And then a rabbi comes up to me and he's like, I go up to him. I was like hyping everyone up, and I go to shake his hand, and he wouldn't like shake my hand with the Israeli flag. And it was, for me, like, again, looking back at it now, I understand there's different perspectives, but like in that hot-headed moment, I was furious. I'm like, my sister's putting her life on the line for like, literally, I'm like, you're sending your son to Israel for your shiva, who's protected by people like my sister who are putting their life on the line. You wouldn't shake my hand to represent like the Israeli flag. I was so upset, but that showed like for me, like I had a natural passion for Israel, always. I always had like a genuine passion for Israel, for the Jewish people, and yeah, I just always had it.
How do you just get up and start stand-up comedy? Because that's something people take years to get into. And you're just like, now you have this platform, and all of a sudden you're doing shows across the world. How does that go? Yeah,
that was wild. I started doing these videos, and doing comedy on social media versus doing it in real life are two different beasts. And I had, there was a guy organizing a show at the Laugh Factory in LA, which is a very well-known comedy club in the scene of America. It's like one of the most
I grew up watching it on YouTube.
Yeah, like what the biggest comedians in America perform at the Laugh Factory in LA. Like that's the biggest one. And he reaches out to me and he's like, hey, I love your content. He's like, you want to do a 10-minute bit at the Laugh Factory? And I'm like, oh my God, I've never done stand-up before. He's like, you want to do it? I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. And I did it, and I went for it, and I did 10 minutes, and I was so nervous. I was so nervous. And I get up there, and I do my 10-minute bit, and the second I got on stage, up until that point, I was literally shaking in my boots. I was so scared. The second I got on stage, all the nerves left. And I felt for the first time like a genuine feeling of like, this is so natural to me. I loved every moment. The audience was reciprocating with my energy. I really enjoy like performing. Something just like a switch went on, and I really enjoyed it. And after that show, around a month later, I headlined my own show at the New York Comedy Club. I did 2 back-to-back shows which sold out in an hour. At a New York Comedy Club, my first ever headliner show, I sold out 2 shows in one night at the New York Comedy Club, which is also a crazy comedy club to sell out. And from there, I'm like, this is crazy. And since then, I've done about over 30 shows all over the world, and it's been incredible.
You see a lot of like comedians. I watch Kill Tony a lot, and they come on, they say they've been doing stand-up for 6 years, and they bomb. They sucked. It's what is it that makes a stand-up comedian work? Because it's not like how much, do you think it's how much work they put into it, how long they've been doing it, or it's just a natural thing?
I think there's both to it. There's definitely a natural, like I feel very much on my side, I have a natural feel for it. Again, obviously, I haven't done this ever in my entire life. And I jumped right into it in the past year and a half. I've been just doing shows, like full-on shows that comedians have been working for years to do. I'm doing it. There's a natural feel to it. There's also the aspect of social media, which is it was relatively new now. Like 20 years ago, no one could do what I'm doing now because how would they get to that position? I got to my position because of social media, doing comedy on social media. I was able to get to these big comedy clubs which would let me perform because they see kind of like proof on social media that he has something going on. But there's definitely a sense of natural skill. And then there's also people that work really hard that can actually also hone in on it. So it's a mix of both. And if you have natural skill and you work hard, you could really go far.
Have you performed in front of a crowd that didn't know you before?
Yeah. So before I did this 10-minute bit at the Laugh Factory, I went with my dad and we went to these open comedy clubs, and we I came up with a open mic, 10-minute bit. And I went to this place. It was actually really funny because I go to this place and when you go to a comedy club, the ideal comedy club, you go to a place where there's good energy, people are drinking, people come to laugh. And I go to this place, and it looks like a comedy club where they have like drinks and everyone's having fun. And before I get there, I prepare my set. And before I go, I'm like, I want to go get like a beer or whatever, like to see what they have. I go with my dad and like, oh, can we get like 2 beers or whatever? And they're like, we don't have alcohol here. Like, what are you talking about?
What?
They had those, you know, those teas that it's kind of like, not weed, but like it kind of makes you high.
No, but okay.
It's like, it's basically, it was a comedy club that had no alcohol, but it only gave you this, they drank this kind of tea. Everyone was like super like in their zen and just like vibing. Like that was the energy. And those are the worst people to open up and do a comedy set for, because I went up there, I did my 10-minute bit. After every joke, maybe like 3 minutes later, one lady in the front would just be like, oh.
Did that wreck your confidence for the...
It destroyed. I'm like, I'm not performing. And then I did it again. We went to another place. And I ended up doing like around 3 of them. And then, you know, I just like pulled off the Band-Aid at the Laugh Factory. But
So you did have some practice before you went on the big stage.
Yeah. I had practice. And thank God I went to a place where I felt like I genuinely failed, because it really like built my character. And then the second place I went to, like also not big response, but like when someone would laugh, I'm like, oh wow, this joke worked. You know what I mean? And then I went to a place where everyone knew who I was, and I delivered my 10-minute bit, and you know there was roaring. So it's also a big part. And that gave me the confidence to just start going on tour and doing like my own full 45-minute like comedy sets.
Were you always a very animated person? Or like now that you like kind of what DJ was asking before, like are you playing into it, or this is you, like the animated personality? Because it's crazy, like when you put on the wig with the multicolored
From
wig.
the river to the sea, I have like the rainbow wig. Yeah, I feel like I am me. I am me as an actor. I feel like I'm an actor. I love playing characters. I do. I really enjoy doing impersonations. When I embody a certain character, I really go into it like 100%. And I love it. I really, really love it. And this character of like, what are you doing? Get a freaking job. Like the stupidity you're doing. Like that is a character. But when I'm doing the character, I genuinely feel like that person. And I think of content in that person, and I just turn into a new person. I flip a switch and I turn to that person. So it is me as this person, but it's bringing out like how I really feel.
You have like multiple personalities.
You could call it like schizophrenia. I don't know what you want to call it, but there's something to it. But it brings out everything that I do brings out how I feel, and it's the genuine me, and I do it through impersonations and animation.
Were there any hate comments that got you, or not even hate, just negative comments, anything?
In the beginning, when I first started off, I got a lot of hate, like a crazy amount of hate. I got death threats, got people reaching out to my mom, like saying, we're going to find you and your son, we're going to kill you, like
How'd
crazy.
they find your mom?
On my Instagram, you know, it's not hard to find. My son's amazing, he's doing so well, you know? It's not hard to find the mom of a Jewish comedian, but you know, it got scary. That was also in the very beginning. I had like 5,000 followers, and I got a lot of hate, and I'm like, should I stop doing what I'm doing? This could be dangerous for me and my family. And I came to the conclusion, like, if I stop doing what I'm doing, I'm basically giving up to these people, and I'm saying, you know what, even though I believe what's right, I'm gonna give up on it because I'm intimidated. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. So I flipped the switch and I went 10 times more, and then thank God it got discovered by our people and the pro-Israel side, and it launched.
It was initially not pro-Israel people finding the content.
I had a couple. But the majority, like I had in the beginning, I'm like at 2,000, 3,000. Once I had like 5,000 followers around, suddenly there was like this crazy influx of hate, like a lot of hate. Like I'm talking like I had to turn off my comment sections, like thousands and thousands of messages, thousands of private messages, comments. Like it was a lot.
Aren't those the people that you were trying to reach though with your content? So
it's interesting. In beginning, like on face value, yes, but like when I went to like all these seminars and I reached a lot of these comments aren't even real comments.
What do you mean?
There's a lot of bots. The other side, the pro-Palestinian side, they literally pay for bots. Bots are basically these fake accounts that aren't real. They're designed to track any pro-Israel account or pro-Israel content, and they will automatically generate Free Palestine, this, all these different comments. They're bots, they're fake. And there's a 1 in 4, I went to the seminar, I don't know how accurate it is, but what they said was 1 in 4 of your hate comments that you get from this pro-Palestinian side are a bot. They're not even real. So you could be having this whole conversation saying, no, Israel is legit because X, Y, and Z, but you're not even talking to a real person, which is crazy.
Waste of time.
Why
Yeah,
hasn't
waste of
the
time.
pro-Israel side figured that out? Like they're
I feel like
There's a
Israel
lot
would
of
be the
work
one
needs
to
to be
figure
done.
out the bots first. They would have like,
Yeah, no, if we got involved in the because we're
if they could explode pagers, they could definitely put bots on Instagram to
no,
say.
there's a tremendous amount of slack and slacking that the Israeli government realized that they're slacking in, which I think they've gotten better at, and they've realized. I know firsthand.
Has the Israeli government reached out to you?
Yeah, I've went to Israel twice, flown in by the Israeli government.
Whoa.
Doing, we did a delegation. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs flew me in with a few other people, and we did a whole influencer kind of group. We went to Israel and to Jerusalem to give us a whole tour, and they basically kind of reignite the flame of what we're doing and why we're doing it and how can we make it better. So they're definitely on top of it, and they're investing money into it, and they're realizing it. They're very late to the game, but they're in on it. They understand.
So you're a piece in a government's plan for a war, basically?
Your propaganda machine.
I don't know if you want to call it that.
Not in a good or bad, that's just wild.
If you look at it on face value, there's the Israeli government sees me and sees this guy is beneficial. This guy is basically taking the truth of what's going on.
You're influencing.
Of the people. That's what it is. I call it what you want. I don't like the word influencer or whatever you want to call it. This guy, they basically see this guy has value in what he's doing, and we want to basically get this out there as much as possible and help him to help us.
Is that not great? If I was in that moment, I'd be like, and a government is asking me to do something right now, and I'm working for them.
It's wild. It's really, really wild. I don't want to say working for them, but yeah, the idea that a government can see your value, and then in any case, any smart person in a situation that Israel's in should be looking for the people that best represent them and spread the message as clearly as possible and invest in those people as much as they can. That's the smartest strategic thing they can do. And it's good to see that they're actually finally focusing on that. Israel, for a couple of years ago, wasn't looking at it at all. They don't care about, what we're doing is what we're doing, and if the world doesn't believe it, we have to do what we have to do. They're in defense mode, but Israel's also realizing that there's a huge value in social media, that you need to explain to people what's going on, and you need people to represent that.
Is it working at all? Because it seems like Israel's still getting pummeled online.
How behind are they?
I don't know. I don't have an exact, I know based on just going on TikTok, there's such an overwhelming amount of hate. Such an overwhelming amount of hate. And the other side, this is my theory. My theory is basically it's very easy for you to take a lie and spread it as fast as you can versus taking information, verifying that it's true, and then spreading it. That's basically, Israel's on the defense. As far as, there's two wars going on. You have the physical war and then you have the social media war. Israel on the social media war is completely on the defense. We're taking all the information that the other side takes, which is basically anything that makes Israel look bad, they take it and they throw it at us. Israel's doing a genocide. Israeli soldiers are raping women. Israel's an apartheid state. Israel's doing this. Israel's doing that. No verification. Throw it out there. Throw. Constantly. I'm talking about millions and millions of posts every single week of go. Make Israel look bad. And then Israel, which is basically, there's no official infrastructure. It's me and freaking Montana and Michael Rappaport and Nate Buzz and Scooter Braun that are basically from ourselves being like, no, that's not true. And then we do our own research and we look into it and we explain in a defensive way, this is why it's wrong. So when you're fighting a war like that, we have no chance. We're on the defense. We're verifying things. They're throwing anything that makes us look bad. How are we supposed to defend ourselves? That's the war we're fighting. It's completely an uphill battle. So it's very, very difficult to fight. But then you have people, it basically comes down to people having to be responsible for verifying their own information. That's what it comes down to. For someone that doesn't know anything about Israel, doesn't know anything about Palestine, and they come to this situation and one side is throwing something at them, another side is throwing something at them, they need to be responsible and hold a level of accountability of looking into things and saying, okay, you're saying this, let me look into it. And any person with their head on their shoulders that look into it will see very clearly that Israel's on the right side of history. But it's unfortunate that we have a lot of very stupid people that aren't interested, and anything that makes them feel passionate and good and warm inside their body, they just go for it and just say whatever makes them feel good, which is the short purple lady saying, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, because it makes her feel good, because she feels like she's fighting for the underdog. All they need to know is the Palestinian people are weak, Israel's strong, Palestinian people must be right. That's a big thought process going on. That's a big fight we're fighting.
Why can't we just post more content, though? It seems like, because they're just posting so much more content with pictures from Gaza. Like, there are things we could be saying, things we could be showing. And instead, they're getting 99% just people dying in Gaza. And they're seeing 1% like Yechiel Jacobs making fun of a liberal. So now you don't have to be stupid to see that and say, well, maybe Yechiel Jacobs making fun of the liberal is not the right one here when I saw 100 videos of people dying in Gaza.
Right. That's the fight. That's why it's so difficult.
But why not just make more content?
To who? I'm making, like me personally, I'm making as much content as I physically can. There needs to be more people that make content. You guys should be making content. Everyone should make
from
content.
Israel, I'm saying. Like, they can
So
make
the
more
state of it,
content.
yeah, I agree. I think the state of Israel needs to invest more money. And no, literally, as a government, it's your responsibility to make sure that you guys are represented on a financial level. There is a level of effort being put into it, but I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's strategically set up well. Like that exactly. There should be more content. You're putting out like it's basically one post versus like 10,000 posts.
Yeah, they should be paying you $1 million right now.
I don't know about that, paying me
Full time, get
but
Yechiel Jacobs on.
they should be investing money in getting more people motivated to spread truth about what's going on. So yeah, it's very that is a big thing. That is a big problem we're dealing with, and I think Israel did realize that. Hence them bringing me to Israel twice, and
Right.
him, they do a lot of stuff. But
How old are you?
I just turned 24 3 days ago.
That's a big question I had. I was so curious.
Yeah, how old did you think I was?
23, 24.
You're
Yeah.
spot on.
I was thinking maybe 25. No offense.
25. No, good. I like when people think I'm older.
But the reason I'm asking is because most of the people you see, even in the Israel advocacy space, they're older. They're, let's say, 30s, 40s,
Yeah.
even upper 20s.
Yeah.
You're
Moms,
kind of
dads.
one of the younger faces in this. And it makes sense because it's such a heavy topic for people. It's so important. And anyone young, it's too much. How are you supposed to take all that on? How are you supposed to take bringing hostages back from Gaza as a 23? You were probably 22, 23 at that time. How are you taking on that responsibility?
I don't feel the responsibility to. It's something that this all started for me from passion, from anger. It started from being angry. I started from like a feeling of like, what the heck is going on? No one's responding to these people in a way that makes me feel like good. I couldn't fall asleep. I was so angry. Like, people are lying about my country, about my people, after we just got slaughtered, the worst massacre in modern day history, and nobody's defending us, and people are lying about us, and no one is even like defending us against these crazy people. Like, this is unacceptable. Like, I got into it out of frustration, and I think more people need to do that. Like, more people need to stand up to the plate. A lot of people think like, oh, what am I gonna do? I wasn't thinking about growing on social media. I never imagined this life for me at all. This is something that happened out of a passion and a feeling, and I think people just need to spread the truth as much as you can, and you might have that feeling of like, oh, what's it gonna help if I do this? But if I had that feeling, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now.
I think there's also an optics issue of like, now that you're an activist, you're building that personality for yourself, that I'm a pro-Israel person, rather than just not advertising that I'm pro-Israel. It's easier to not advertise that you're pro-Israel and then not get any feedback from the other side, and then saying I'm pro-Israel and just getting feedback. Like, personally for me, let me try to explain this. For me, like, I don't want to post anything on my status or on my story, pro-Israel or hostage, whatever, because I just don't want that to become my personality. And then it's going to maybe turn off some people. Maybe it's going to deter some business for me. You know what I'm saying? There's a little bit of that fear. I don't know. I think that's something that's blocking me and probably a lot of other people.
Yeah, there's a huge fear about it, and that's what I dealt with in the very beginning. Is like there's a level of intimidation that you get, and you have to make the decision for yourself. You have to decide what you want to do.
Do you think everybody should become an activist?
No, absolutely not. Everyone has their strong suits. Some people, if they do become an activist, they'll be worse for Israel. They'll look terrible on camera. I'm serious. Some people will be like, I think Israel should be a little bit more better. Israel,
I don't know any of the facts.
Yeah, so it depends. Everyone has their own calling. Everyone has their own thing. Whether it's sharing, whether it's some people are good at writing. Some people are good at connecting people. Networking. Everyone has their thing. Some people are good at podcasts. Some people are funny. Some people are more serious. Everyone has their thing. You need to find out what your thing is. This goes deeper on a way deeper level in life. You need to figure out what's your purpose. What are you here for? Forget about Israel. Forget about Palestine. Figure out like, why are you here on earth? Like, what are you here for? Some people You know, some people are good at so many different things. There's so many different ways it could go. You got to figure that out. And on a smaller level, you have the Israel-Palestine thing. How do you want to deal with it? How do you want to help? Do you want to help? Would you rather be quiet? You got to figure that out. And some people want to be quiet. They can't handle it. And that's okay. If you can't handle it, that's okay. Help in a different way. Figure out how you can do it. Try doing your best in different ways. But I think trying to do something that is not your natural thing is going to be only bad for you. And it's going to make things worse. You got to figure out what's your thing, what are you good at, and hone in on that.
So what is your thing? Beyond, if you detach it from Israel, is it still a purpose?
Sure, yeah. My thing now is making people laugh. Making people laugh is my thing. On a selfish level, I get to sell comedy shows, I get to do brand deals, I get to grow my social media. On a non-selfish level of like the feeling of purpose that I get of like joys, I'm genuinely making people smile. I make people that are depressed and sad walk away happy and feeling good about themselves, and these issues that they had that are literally eating in at them that they can't handle, after watching one of my videos or coming to one of my shows, they walk away with a smile. That is a crazy amount of gratitude. Like the feeling that I get from that is incredible. So there's two sides. So that beyond, forget about Israel, forget about Palestine. On a different level, people just come to my comedy show, nothing to do with anything. My comedy show, 90% of it has nothing to do with Israel. It's just funny situations that anybody would get and laugh about. So there's a huge, for me, that's a purpose that I get for.
You see it in the acting too?
I've never gotten into the acting space. I want to get into the acting space because
So why do you want to get into the acting?
Because I
if
love
comedy's the thing.
So I love comedy. It's great, but I love playing characters. I really do, and I'm learning more about myself as I'm doing this. I'm playing Borat. I'm playing Donald Trump. I'm doing an Israeli guy. I'm playing French. I'm doing German. I'm doing all these characters. Freaking King Julian from Madagascar, and I'm learning like when I play these characters, I turn into a different person, and I really feel like I feel that character, and I feel like I could really, as an actor, I could do that really, really well. So
Are there any characters you can't do that you tried and it just didn't work?
So Donald Trump, I struggle with it. It's not a perfect Donald Trump. Like it took time to get it. I don't even have it.
Shane Gillis is Donald Trump, by the way.
Yeah, he does great.
He's he does it. He like the way he moves around. It's like,
yeah, he has it down to a T. Mm-hmm. He has it down to a T.
Why didn't it work for you?
I got it like when I do Donald Trump, I look like a guy impersonating Donald Trump versus like Shane Gillis looks like Donald Trump.
Yeah,
I look like a guy impersonating Shane Gillis doing Donald Trump. You know what I mean? There's like a certain like, but I have the natural knack for it that if I try hard enough and I practice on it, I could get it. So I enjoy it and I like doing it.
King Julian is definitely a fun one.
Yeah, I love King Julian.
What are you doing when you're not doing any of this? When it's not any of the comedy? Regular day.
So I'm doing a crazy amount of content. I'm doing hours and hours of content. I'm thinking, coming with ideas, new material for comedy shows.
You pound stories also.
Yeah.
You post like 10 a day.
I'm very into the stories. Stories is just more like whatever's going on in my life, I'll share it with people and like, this is what's going on. I'm excited to share it.
So you're right. What does writing content look like?
So it's actually interesting because I, as a new comedian, like I want to hear like a seasoned comedian talk about this question. Like I want to know how Modi, Elon Gold, Sebastian Maniscalco, even though those are totally different categories, but how they come up with their content. Everyone has their own way of doing it. Like for me, I think of a funny situation, I'll write it down or I'll have it in my head. For me, I'm very much in my head kind of person. All my videos, I never write any of them down. It's all, I have a funny idea, I'll put it together, like in my mind, I'm going over it, and then I start filming and I get it. Stand-up comedy is very different. You need to write it down. You need to have like kind of like a path that you're following and
test it, no?
Sure, yeah, you got to test a lot. But for me, my test has been my headliner shows. I tested my first test of a 45-minute bit. Again, my first 10-minute bit was at the first clubs that I went to, everyone was high, and then I did it officially at the Laugh Factory. My 45-minute bet at the New York Comedy Club, that was one big freaking test.
45 minutes?
45 minutes straight at the New York Comedy Club. I had 2 back-to-back shows. Both of them this was my first time trying out this content. So I just figured out, I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. And I did it, and I'm like, okay, it was good, thank God. It worked out.
I was at a comedy show last night, and like some things hit, some things did not hit.
Yeah.
And I could tell I was being tested on. You think people care? Like some comedians are better. Like when it doesn't hit, they're like, okay, moving on. Like that was
some
not.
comedians can make that the funniest bit of their bit is when they're not funny and they call it out. it's really funny.
You get to realize you're a funny person, but like your comedy wasn't so funny.
Right, but if you could call that out, the beauty about comedy is comedy. A lot of comedy is calling out things that are real. Comedy is a lot of it is just it's very real. It's very honest. So if I say a joke and it doesn't land, then I'm like, that was really not funny, and I call it out in front of all these people, and I make a funny bit out of it. That could be the funniest bit of the whole set that I did. Is calling it out. Comedy is very, very real. It's tapping into what people are thinking, and then calling it out. That's the beauty of comedy. It's like for me, I like all my comedy is very relatable things. Very, very relatable. If it's something that you thought of if you're on an airplane, like when you flush a toilet and it goes and you feel like you're being sucked into the Atlantic Ocean, you know, that's I have a whole bit on that and I do a whole act on it. But like these are things that are very relatable that you could tap into that people thought of, but they never spoke about it. And you could really make that dramatic. That's a really funny comedy bit.
Why does comedy always go so inappropriate? Like every comedy show I've been to, wildly inappropriate. They just push boundaries on it. Like there are funny things to talk about that aren't inappropriate. Why does it need to go that way?
It doesn't need to. Come to one of my shows. Really. Come to my shows. I don't curse. I don't talk about anything inappropriate.
Why do you think people do it though?
Well, people do it because, first of all, there is a humor in things that are inappropriate. It's pushing, again, a lot of people think inappropriate that won't talk inappropriate. And that comes back to the idea of calling things out that people are thinking but not talking about. So there's a lot of humor in that. But also I find it to be, I kind of like lose respect for comedians that if something's not going well, they'll fall back to like just inappropriate things. Because like if they say things when people get uncomfortable, they laugh. You say something that's so dramatically like inappropriate or just out of context, people be like, oh, that's funny, or you know, like it's an easy way of getting people to laugh. If you could get people to laugh for a full set without being inappropriate and without cursing and just using genuine good content, I have a lot of respect for that. And it could be done. And a lot of people do it. And a lot of people are amazing at making jokes that are inappropriate also. It depends on the content, like the comedian. But you don't have to be inappropriate to be really funny.
I think Morgan J is so cool. The way you have all the other stand-up comedians and he's just doing his own thing.
Yeah.
Like that show, I don't know how he came up with that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask about if you met with any of the hostages at all.
I've met with a few. When I went to Israel, I met with a few, and I spoke to them. And
Hashem was at the event tonight.
Yeah, it was the first time I met her. First time I met her.
Her baby was there.
Her baby?
Her baby was there.
I didn't even know she has a baby.
Maybe that was the other hostage.
We don't want to start rumors here.
Uh-oh.
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't.
No. There is a difference.
Publish it. Put it out right now. This is
the guy that got shot.
Which one? Dude. We were at a freaking Nova thing. Everyone got shot.
No, they brought in like all these like injured soldiers after. They're very cool. But there was a guy that got shot. It was in the video, and
you're talking about he's one of the coordinators. Yeah, so he was by the Nova side. He said that his wife is the one that got him through it. And she was 9 months pregnant?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was the guy. He was the guy that invited me to the event.
There was a baby at the event.
Yeah. So that was his baby. He wasn't a hostage. None of that.
Okay.
So those are all rumors.
My bad.
Next trial, sure. What is it?
I came in and she's like, "This is the baby." I'm like, "Okay."
Wow.
And you're like,
baby.
"It must be Yechiel's baby."
This is how rumors start. That's what it is. But no, it was it was not a hostage baby. It was his baby, and he was by the Nova site, and he was, you know, he survived. It was a crazy situation. But yeah.
He was like 21, right? He was like very young.
I think he's 20. I think he's a little bit older. But yeah, it's crazy.
How do you take like a hostage story and like internalize that? I've been to the Nova Museum, and I felt a lot there. Like it was honestly a little too much for me. But I haven't been to Israel since October 7th. A lot of people haven't been to Israel since October 7th. How does someone connect to these stories? It's crazy. It's not like it doesn't seem real, like that even happened, and it's already in the past. How do you connect to that?
It's crazy. For me personally, my reaction to it when I went to the Nova Museum, I felt a sense of like numbness, because when October 7th happened, I don't know if you remember, which I'm sure you do, the feeling that you had is like, oh my God, like Israel's being attacked. Hamas just broke through the border. Hamas is murdering people. People are dying right now. Like this was in live time. Like they just took hostages. There are hostages being taken into Gaza right now. Our family members will be taken right now. It's happening this second. And we lived it. We lived we're seeing videos. I remember seeing videos of like the bar by the Nova, and you see bodies just lying, and you hear the police officer, the soldier, whoever is there, just like you hear their disbelief. Like, it was like I was traumatized. I was genuinely. We all were to a degree of traumatized. So after going through what we went through, which was crazy, and then going to the Nova exhibit, which was very, very powerful, but I felt a sense of numbness because I went through my most traumatic time was when it was happening. I was getting the live feedback. I remember being in shul. It was Simchas Torah. I remember hearing the feedback from guys who heard from somebody else what was going on. There's like 300 terrorists and there's 500, there's 1,000 terrorists, there's 5. It was crazy numbers. And it was happening in real time. That was when the trauma really happened. And, you know, I think even still now, we're still internalizing as a nation, we're going through it still. But going to the Nova exhibit, you know, there's a lot of things it brings in. For me personally, I was already so traumatized before that. I almost felt a feeling of like, I felt way more when this first happened. I'm just saying how I feel. I have no point to this.
Do you feel bad about that?
I think there was a part of me that felt like, why am I not more traumatized about what I'm seeing? I'm seeing the craziest things at the Nova exhibit, but I thought about it and I internalized it. I'm like, because when October 7th was happening, I was currently experiencing that trauma. When you go through a crazy trauma and then something else happens that reminds you of it, it's not going to be as impactful as when you actually are going through it. That's what I think. I could be wrong, but
what hit me personally was I saw like a note that someone wrote to their friend who passed.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, this is so real to him. Then I'm like, okay, this is a real thing. Like, you see the pictures of him and his friend. But for me as an American, I mean, I do have like Israeli heritage, but it just doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel.
You don't feel like you connect to it, or it doesn't feel relatable. Like, what do you mean?
Not so relatable. Not so relatable. Like,
no, you're saying it doesn't feel real. Like you can't like imagine it, or it doesn't feel real as in like you're so shocked by the pain.
Both, and also like the whole Nova festival. Everything is so Israeli culture, the kibbutzes, the everything. Like, these are words that I know, just not concepts that I've lived. It's like a different culture. I don't know. It's like, and I feel like that's maybe where, same thing in Gaza. Like, I don't understand what's going on in Gaza. I don't understand what kind of misinformation, culture, everything.
Yeah.
And I feel, where's an American's place in this conflict? Like what you're saying, a lot of Americans are going to let me side with Palestine because I love saving the turtles, and Palestine also needs love too.
Underdog, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just like, it's a tough place to be an American in this.
It's very interesting. An American in this position specifically, it's very interesting. Like where I don't think there's a specific role for every person has their own that they figure it out. People love to hear like, so what's my purpose on earth? Tell me, give me the blueprints on what I'm supposed to do now.
Tell me what I'm supposed to do.
Figure it out. You figure it out. Mm-hmm. Like not you, but yes you. But everyone, figure it out. It's your responsibility as a human being to figure out what your purpose is. You figure it out. Don't wait for somebody else to come and tell you, this is what you should be doing. People love to hear that. Everyone wants to hear that. So many things are sold to people based off of, oh, you want to know what's going to make you strong? You want to know what's going to make you good looking? You know what's going to make you this? Take my course. People need a level of self-responsibility. You figure it out. And not you, but yes you, but like go out there and figure out what your purpose is. How can you be helpful? No one knows you better than you. You need to figure that out. It's not, don't wait for somebody else to come to you and be like, oh, this is what you need to do. Obviously, you can have people that can mentor you and help you, but no one knows you better than you. And an American's place in this situation, every person is different. Every person needs to do their own research and look into this and be like, how can I, with my things that I know, which no one else knows more than I do about myself, how can I be helpful? That's what people need to do.
Is this something that at one point you were on that other side of someone else needs to tell me my purpose, someone else needs to sell me this course, sell me this thing?
I'm still on that side. I still have the easy way out. I wanted to figure out now. I'm in this position now where I'm like, okay, what do I do next? How do I get to the next level? Someone tell me what I need to do. And I'm waiting for that. And obviously I speak to people. I try to get as much insight as I can get to understand what I need to do. But when it comes down to like, I know me more than anybody else knows me. And I need to figure out with the information that I get, what can I do next and figure out what I could do to be the best me that I could be. So you have to, it's you at the end of the day that can figure it out. people can help you and give you like guidance, but I think nowadays so many people are so dependent on like, tell me what I need to do. Just tell me, I'll do it. Like tell me, and that's why I think so many people are on the pro-Palestine side, because they give them such an easy. This is it. We'll tell you. All you need to do, go protest. Go do this. These are the facts. Babies are dying. Don't ask why they're dying, how they're dying.
There's free food at the protest.
It's free food. We'll pay you $1,500 a month. Don't worry about it. Go do it. It's easy. They have a sense of purpose. They're being fed something. I think that's also, I'm coming up with this now as we're talking, but like that's something that I really think people, you know, they're attracted to it because they're being told like something, a purpose. They're being told a purpose. They're not looking internally at themselves. They're being told something by a side that's way more dominant than another side.
For me, I think that same thing, but I think of it when I find myself like looking at an Israel rally.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I'm like, that's really nice. But I feel like that part of me, the part of me that wants to go to that is just that, like, I want to be part of something bigger.
Yeah.
I want that easy sense of purpose. But it's important for people to go to the rallies. It's important for people to be doing these things.
Yeah.
So which one is it? Can you do both? Can you go to those rallies and be like waving the flag for 3 hours straight and not just be doing that out of the need for a sense of purpose?
I think it is both. You have the sense of purpose. You go to one of these rallies, but I think like, have you ever taken a second to be like, why am I here? Like, have you ever gone to a rally or gone to yeshiva or keep Shabbat or keep kosher and be like, 1 second, take a step. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Now, I'm not saying this to lead away from it. I personally believe if you take a step back and look at it, you're going to go back in with such a more passion and love for it. That's what I think. I think when you go back, you're going to be like, wow, now I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. Now I know why I'm keeping Shabbat. Now I know why I'm keeping kosher. Now I know why I'm Jewish. Now I know why I believe in the state of Israel. This is when you know something, you have such a higher sense of purpose and passion. And the beautiful thing about our side is that I genuinely believe from the research that I've done, and I've done a lot of research, we actually are on the side of truth. I want to encourage people to look into things. Like you don't believe in the state of Israel? No problem. Look into it. I'm not going to tell you believe what I say and don't look into it. You don't believe in Judaism? Look into it. Go into it, and you'll find your sense of purpose doing that. I genuinely believe that, and that's super important. People need to look into things, and they'll develop a higher appreciation for it.
What is the research that you saw that was compelling for you on Israel? For whatever you're like, this is a little vague, so I need to look that up. What was that research?
So a lot of the research is reading and looking into Google, ChatGPT. Really, like what people
is
think.
ChatGPT pro Israel?
ChatGPT is ChatGPT is excellent. They're very much just like, they're very like politically correct because they'll be like, you know, we need to respect all people in this moment, in this time. It gets very much like, it won't tell you too much. If you ask things about Israel, like with what I noticed, like I talk to ChatGPT because it's now everyone's personal therapist. But when you talk to ChatGPT, like you have a conversation with them. When I talk to him one-on-one, like the voice to voice, like
I can't do that. How do you do that?
Are you kidding me? I have a full relationship. My girlfriend's getting jealous. It's a problem.
Oh, man.
I'm having full-on conversation with ChatGPT. But when you have the voice conversations, it's a lot more limited. You'd be like, I can't answer that right now, whatever it is. But if you text it in, you get more information. Little side hack.
There's an accent with ChatGPT? I've never done that.
It does have an accent.
Yeah, I have the British accent.
British accent.
Yeah. Because even if it tells me something that I disagree with, if it's in a British accent, I just agree with it more.
What is it about Israel? And I have a general sense of it, but you probably have many more words to be able to define the love for Israel, why it's important, what it means to people. What do you think it is about Israel that's so important?
I think the state of Israel represents the Jewish people. Genuinely. It represents the Jewish people. Now, the state of Israel is not perfect. Far from perfect. Just like every government in every country in the world is far from perfect. It's not a reason to say why it's delegitimate or anything like that. But the state of Israel, for me, it represents the Jewish people. It's the homeland. It's the core of the Jewish people. This is our ancestral homeland. Literally, when you think of ancestral homeland, you have to understand this is where our family grew up, our people were born. This is where you talk about the whole area of like Mount Sinai, receiving the Torah, everything. These are our people. This is our land. We have literally, you dig into the ground. You don't find Palestinian stuff. It didn't exist. You dig into the ground. You find Sefer Torah. You find Jewish things. This is our land. It's a representation of the Jewish people. That is what Israel is. It is our homeland. And the Jewish people, we've gone through a lot of persecution, a lot, endless amounts. So having a homeland is extremely important, and it's a necessity. So the state of Israel represents a survival, a home base, a place where the Jewish people know that they're safe because it's our home. Even if we're not safe in the world, you go back to Israel. If this is going to be our last fighting spot, at least it will be at home. That's what it represents for me, really. It's a place where we can be home.
Because honestly, when I saw those videos of hostages being taken, I never cry, and that made me like feel something I've never felt before. But it had nothing to do with Israel. It was just like
Unjust.
it was the humanity of it, or the lack of humanity.
Yeah.
And it's still hard to, I've never felt anything like that, a connection with another person that is somewhere else in the world. And you're just like, I can see a video of a kid in like Nigeria,
Yeah.
and it looks really sad, and it doesn't make me feel anything.
Yeah.
But for you, was that also, did you feel like Israel was being attacked and that made it more painful for you? Because I really didn't have that experience.
You didn't have the experience of Israel.
I had the like being Jewish in my identity.
Right. So
But not so much my homeland being attacked. I was like,
But you said you felt something that you never felt before when Israel was being attacked.
when the hostages were being taken.
Right.
Because that was
but
like,
you said if these were hostages in Nigeria or Sweden or Portugal, you wouldn't have felt that.
so I'm saying I felt the connection to Jewish people, but not so much to Israel as a land being attacked.
So so the Jewish people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that. That's the relationship. But so you have the people and you have their house. So the people in their house, I would think, is even stronger. But correct, like what happened in D.C. with two Israel. I mean, which happens to be the guy wasn't Jewish; he was Christian. But you have two Israelis.
He wasn't Jewish?
No, he was Christian. I think his father was Jewish, but he wasn't. But you have two Israeli. But the Jewish people in general, when we get attacked anywhere in the world, we feel it. We're a family, and family needs to live in a house, and Israel's our house. That's what I think.
It's so scary.
But I think also, like, again, this whole thing is like, I started off because I felt a certain feel. It was a feeling of, it was literally trauma. Like, it was like, our people are getting slaughtered right now, like currently. And as they're getting slaughtered, people are still blaming us for what's going on. Like, there's a certain passion that every Jewish person has to the Jewish people, really. And I think Israel is a huge part of that, The Jewish people in general. Again, if this would have happened outside of Israel, I think you still would have felt the same way because you have that feeling toward Jewish people. But the state of Israel represents the Jewish people. It's the homeland of the Jewish people. There's a huge connection there.
Right. Is there any leaving message that you would have for people? Just one thing.
Hishtadlus.
Also, what's next? You said that you're working on developing more content, more characters. So what's coming next?
So next for me is I want to take my comedy shows to the next level. I want to go to bigger venues, come up with more content in my comedy shows. I want to get involved in acting. I want to get involved in movies. I want to start exploring the serious side to me as well. I want to figure out what I'm capable of doing and just doing it. And then as far as my message for people is hishtadlus. Hishtadlus is the idea of you put in the work and God's going to take care of the rest. If you put in the work, if you believe in something and genuinely believe in it, do it with everything you have, and I genuinely believe God's going to take care of you and take you to the next level. But you have to put in the work. No matter how intimidating it is or scary it is or non-motivating it is, if you're passionate about something, go for it all the way. You guys doing this podcast, like you guys, if you stick to this, I genuinely believe you'll be really, really successful. You got to put in your hishtadlus. That's my message.
Thank you, Yechiel.
We will.
Thank you guys. This is awesome.
See ya. This is crazy that this happened.
Yeah, it's wild.